Hello, today we're learning law of cosines. You can use law of cosines to solve triangles when two sides and the included angle are known, side angle side, or when all three sides are known, side side side. If triangle ABC has sides of length A, B, and C as shown, then we have these three formulas. Now, I don't remember all three formulas. I'll tell you how I kind of remember it as we do the problem, but if you take a look, the side that's all by itself corresponds to the angle that is opposite it. So side A, angle A would be opposite it. That's how it's related. And then the other two sides go in the other position. So we're always going to have one side squared plus the other side squared minus 2 times those two sides. And you'll see what I'm talking about. We'll practice it on our calculator. Now, there is a law of sines that we did not talk about. It's called the ambiguous case. There's a situation when you're given a triangle and you solve for it, you can have no solution, one solution, or two completely different triangles. We're just talking about how to use law of sines and cosines in this class, so we skipped what is called the ambiguous case. Now, in order to do law of cosines and not get this situation where you can have 0, 1, or 2 triangles, order matters. If you're given a side angle side, you need to make sure you find the missing side first, then the smaller angle. If you're given side, 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 it's important to find the largest angle first. So make sure you highlight this, star it, make a note to yourself. Order is important. We'll refer back to this as we're doing each problem. So let's just go ahead and get started because I think that's the easiest thing to do and to see how to set these up. Okay, again, we're going to go ahead and start by drawing our triangle, ABC. B is 34 degrees, little a is 11, little c is 14. Okay, so as we notice, we have side, angle, side. If we wanted to use law of sines, we can't. It's not possible. We don't have a corresponding angle inside. We would never get anywhere. We would end up with two variables all the time. So we're going to use law of cosines. Now, this is the angle I was given, and this is the side we need to find first because it says find missing side first, then smaller angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the side, put it all by itself, b squared, equals, and I'm going to match that up with cosine of 34. Okay, now we're going to put the a and c in all the other spots. Doesn't matter the order, so we're going to do 14 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 14 times 11. And this is times the cosine of 34. Now be very, very careful when you do this math. If you punch it into your calculator the way you see it, you'll be fine. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do 14 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times, be careful here, 14 times 11. It's times cosine of 34. Some people want to put a plus or minus there. So this whole part is all multiplication. Hit enter. Okay, now what you found was b squared. We got b squared to be 61.6564. Keep 4 decimal places. So how do we get b by itself? We need to square root both sides. Of course, we don't need the negative because we're not going to have a negative side of a triangle. So I go ahead and put in my square root of 61.6564. Hit enter, and we get b to be 7.9. So let's go ahead and go back to our problem. Okay, so I went ahead and I filled in B in the little triangle. Now, we have a corresponding angle inside. We're done with law of cosines. Now to find our other missing parts, we can go ahead and do our law of sines. So these problems, there's definitely more than one step. Law of cosines first, then usually law of sines. So for law of sines, it says to find the smaller angle. How do you know which one is the smaller angle? It's opposite the smaller side. So 14 and 11 are our two sides left. 11 is smaller, so we need to find angle A first. So we're going to go ahead and do the side and angle we have. Sine of 34 degrees over 7.9 equals sine of A over 11. You guys can go ahead, pause the video, practice doing that on your calculator. Do sine of 34 equals times 11 equals divided by 7.9 equals, and then don't forget to put in the inverse sign. Punch that decimal in, and you will get angle A to be 51 degrees. Now you're done, because if we know 2 out of 3 angles of the triangle, you can just take 180 and subtract 34 and subtract 51 to get 95 degrees. So please write your answer of all like we have been doing with all the parts that are missing. We are missing angle A, which is 51 degrees. We are missing angle C, which is 95 degrees, and we were missing little b, which we found to be 7.9. Okay, now I want to give you an example of the side-side-side case where we need to find the largest angle first. This is going to be a little bit different because we're missing an angle, so the math is very tricky. You need to pay attention to how we punch that in on our calculator. Okay, let me go ahead and set up this problem for you. So we have triangle ABC. We know all the sides. Side A is 12, side B is 27, and side C is 20. Now we need to find the largest angle first, which means that's going to be angle B because it's opposite the largest side. So that's the law of cosines we're going to set up. So our side B is going to be all by itself, 27 squared. It's going to match our cosine of B. And then we're going to put the other sides in the other position. So 20 squared plus 12 squared minus 2 times 20 times 12. Okay, and this is where students mess up because remember, this is all multiplication. So let's go ahead and go to our calculator. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to do 27 squared, and then I'm going to subtract 20 squared from both sides. Then I'm going to subtract 12 squared from both sides. That way, this will be gone and we'll be only left with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our calculator. Okay, so let's put in 27 squared, and then we're going to subtract 20 squared, and then we're going to subtract 12 squared. When we do that, we get 185. So we're going to have 185 equals. Now what I like to do is I like to multiply this out. So I'm going to do negative 2 times 20 times 12. Okay, so what you get is negative 480. So now remember, it's negative 480 times cosine of B. So how do we get the cosine all by itself? We're going to divide both sides by negative 480. Okay, so let's go ahead and do 185 divided by negative 480, and that equals negative 0.3854 equals cosine of B. So to find B, we have to do the inverse. So second cosine, and then go ahead and put in negative 0.3854. That's good enough. We get 113 degrees. We want to round to the nearest degree. Yep. Let's go ahead and go back to our original problem. So we got angle B to be 113 degrees, so we're looking for angle A, angle B, and angle C. And we got angle B to be 113. Okay, now that we did that, you can go ahead and use law of sines and find whichever angle you want. So on my homework, I just happened to do A next. So we're going to do sine of 113 divided by 27 equals sine of A over 12. Go ahead, cross multiply. Once you do sine of 113 times 12, you're going to divide it by 27, and you're going to do the inverse to get A. A ends up being 52 degrees. Once you get that, we're done. We're just going to go ahead and subtract these two from 180, and we get the missing, oh, I'm sorry, we got A to be, I messed up. We got A to be 24 degrees. I apologize. A is 24 degrees. I looked at the wrong problem. And then we go ahead and we get angle C to be 43 degrees. So again, I'm sorry, this is 24 degrees. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the U-try. The U-try I gave you was like example number 1. So go ahead, draw your triangle, and because it's like example number 1, it's the side angle side case. So you want to make sure you find the missing side first by using law of cosines, and then smaller angle. Missing side by law of cosines, and smaller angle by law of sines. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead, write them on the bottom of the paper, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.